Hello, I am Ausolot, and I believe Victini will be in Pokemon Legends ZA. Alright, so you're probably thinking I'm a crazy person for thinking this, but hopefully by the end of this video I change your mind and hopefully I'm less of a crazy person in your mind. So this is quite the leap in logic at first, but I've made quite a few connections that actually make a lot of sense. There's pretty much just one route leads to another, and then this connection leads to another connection. So whenever I make a prediction like this, I usually like to base it off of evidence that could be there. So that doesn't sound right. I like to base my theories on evidence that are basically there, and I can run speculation through them through analysis. I'm like, yep, that could make sense if that was true, and if that's true, then that makes sense. So yes, like I said at the beginning of this video, I think Victini will be in Pokemon Legends Arceus Pokemon Legends ZA in some way. So let's get into it. First point, where can you find Victini? Well, Victini is found in Liberty Garden, an island with a lighthouse in the center. Victini can be found in the basement of Liberty Garden. In Pokemon Black and White, you need the Liberty Pass to visit the island, and with an event-exclusive item. I remember doing this way back in the day, because, fun fact, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl was my first Pokemon generation, and Pokemon Black and White was my first new generation, where I was looking forward to the next generation Pokemon, and I remember doing this event. You get the Liberty Pass. I think it was via Wi-Fi. You go to the Port Liberty, I think it was called, and then you go to the island and Victini. I don't remember, but apparently there's a bunch of plasma grunts on the island looking for Victini. I know you beat them all, and then you go into the basement and catch Victini. It's at level 15, so even if Victini isn't in Pokemon Legends ZA, I'm very excited to capture it in Pokemon Black and White remake, and maybe catching it in Premier Ball, because I love Premier Balls. It's just like, But yeah, that's how you can find Victini. So where do we go from this? Well, what is Liberty Garden based on, where you find Victini? Well, Liberty Garden is based on Liberty Island in New York. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France given to America to honor the two countries' alliance during the American Revolution. The statue was the statue was to recognize America as a champion of liberty and to encourage the French to support the same ideals. Frederick Auguste, God, I butcher these French names, Bartholdi, designed the Statue of Liberty. So that's an interesting thing there. But I didn't know this next one. Did you know that a replica of the Statue of Liberty is in France? I sure didn't. I didn't know that at all, and I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, the Statue of Liberty in France. Hold on, the Statue of Liberty in France the Statue of Liberty in France, located on a man-made island called Isle Kiane. God, I took French in high school, and I got a B, and I don't remember anything other than how to say hello. And this was a gift from America to celebrate the French Revolution. So that's an interesting thing. They got that one for the American Revolution. They got this one to honor the French Revolution. So that's pretty fun. So yeah, that's what Liberty Garden it was based on, is Liberty Island from the real world. And fun fact, the Statue of Liberty was modeled after Augusta Charlotte Bartholdi, Frederick Auguste Barthol's mother. So the guy who made, oh gosh, that's a weird layer. The guy who made that just modeled the Statue of Liberty off of her face, which is pretty cool, or just her in general. I never knew that, and I didn't know there was a freaking Statue of Liberty in France. There's actually several, but this is the most notable. There's also one in Vegas, and blah blah blah, but there's several around the world, which is pretty fun. So let's get to this next one. In Unova, I think I forgot to space it out there. In Unova, 200 years ago, an ultra-rich family bought an island and named it Liberty Island. The Liberty Gardens map description is an island symbol of hope for a Pokemon where humans and Pokemon can live free. It's an interesting thing there because Pokemon Legends Z-A, in the trailer, we know that it's a vision of beautiful coexistence between people and Pokemon. That is very similar to this, where humans and Pokemon live free. So that's already the first connection we've made to Kalos and Liberty Garden, where Victini is, because whoever bought this was ultra rich family, wanted it to be a symbol of where Pokemon and humans live free, and just so happens that Lumio City, whoever's making it, wanted to be a coexistence between humans and Pokemon, so interesting. I don't know if that leads to anything important, but it could be interesting. But also, this is also very interesting. Liberty Garden, oh gosh, has a lighthouse on it, right there, or more specifically, right here. And this could be a flash on top, because lighthouses, light the water, and this could be a flash, because if you remember, this one, the same people who did that one, they're redeveloping Lumio City. Oops, wrong one. Are part of this, so these could be connected. Maybe they could be like Team Flash or Team Light or Team Prism. I made a connection between the Prism and Mega Evolution and Zygarde in one of my previous videos. You can watch that if you want. But yeah, could be part of it. Let's go to the next point. So what other connections do we have between Kalos and Unova? Well, we have several. This first one is very interesting. I found all these online, because I don't have a capture device to capture footage on the 3DS, so I just got all these off of Google Images. But the first one here is that we actually have several Unova Pokemon, specifically Snivy in Professor Sycamore's lab. There's also several of Audino, Gothitella, several others. I can't quite make out those, but the most important one right there is Snivy. If you watched my other video where I think Snivy might be the grass starter, evidence! Maybe that's the Premier Ball. Maybe in this new game, we'll find the origin of the Premier Ball. Because in the other game, I think it was the origin of the Cherish Ball. Like the Red Ball, or Origin Ball, or whatever they called it. So that's pretty cool. The next one is these guys. We got Golurk and Poible? Is that its name? It's a very forgettable Pokemon. I think there's an Eevee in its hand. Is that a person? Anyway, that looks like a little face. We have several Unova Pokemon in Palfrum Palace. God, I butchered its name without reading it. This is leading to the statue in that place that has several Unova Pokemon, as well as these, if you can't tell, is a Bisharp. These are adorned across the entire thing in Palfrum Palace, where you find the Furfur, where you can get the Pokeflute to move the Snorlax out of the way up. There's also a Melodic, or Milotic, however you want to pronounce it. That's from Hoenn, obviously, but it also mentions it's the most beautiful Pokemon in the world. But the most important one is Bisharp, because, as we know, Bisharp is technically in Kalos, because you can find it in its dex, and it commands armies of Pawniard, and we recently just got, out of the blue, a freaking evolution for Bisharp. So we're probably going to see a Bisharp evolution in this game, or Bisharp's evolution, King Gambit, in this game. It would make sense. Maybe he'll even get a Mega. Who the heck knows? God, that'd be terrifying. Freaking Mega King Gambit. Or maybe a regional form, who knows. But the last one here in this instance is these two guys here, Reshiram and Zekrom. These are represented in the maze garden in the back of Palfrum Palace. So, a lot of Unovan connections. And it also several other NPCs in the region also say, oh, blah 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 and Unova, blah blah blah. They mention a Unova a lot. Like, I'm pretty sure one of the NPCs here says Kalos and Unova must have had some connections. They're standing at the base of the Zekrom statue, so very interesting. And here is, speaking of Palfrum Palace, Hopefully I read that right. Let's a few more interesting things about it. So Paraphone Palace was built by the King of Kalos shortly after a war with neighboring regions 300 years ago. Not to be confused with one 3,000 years ago with AZ, or he, exploded the region with his ultimate weapon. Sounds like a really bad euphemism. Anyway, so yeah, this has a lot of Unovan connections as well as being related to the King of Kalos. The King of Kalos was also related to AZ because the original King of Kalos was AZ's brother, and then his brother, passed his genes down to his family, just kind of skedaddled into several beds. And this King of Kalos was also pretty sure related to AZ, because if you look at one of the pictures after you beat the champion, you look at the picture and the portrait, the player says it kind of looks like AZ, which is impossible because this is 300 years ago, which means this King of Kalos is a descendant of the brother of AZ, which we'll get into in a second. And right here, behind the Paraphone Palace, is, I kind of made several errors, is a maze, which was the King of Kalos's prize garden. Back in the day, he even held garden parties in it. So this ancestor of AZ, did I say descendant? The descendant of AZ's brother held parties in it, and several Unova Pokemon are in there. And these are going to be important in a second. And there's also several Pokemon in the thing. This was Solrock, Chandelure, Gen 5 Pokemon, and this is Pyroar, Gen 6 Pokemon. This is nothing, or maybe they'll reveal whatever that is in the next game. So, yeah. Another an interesting thing I found was in Hoenn, in Lily Cove Museum, there's this black thing saying it's a Pokeball carved from black stone. It was apparently used in festivals in olden days. Old festivals, and sorry this picture's so blurry, I couldn't find a better picture. No one's taken a picture of it online that I could find, but these are very similar to this one. Black and white, the games, Reshiram and Zekrom. Very interesting. These are on a pedestal and these are not, which is very interesting. But that kind of means that in the festivals in the olden days, and we know that the king had parties and stuff in his garden. And also, in the Pokemon Factory, these are very similar to these. They're not the same, obviously. These are marked like modern Pokeballs, but they have the same pillar triangle thing and the circle, just like those. That's very interesting. I wanted to put that in at probably just a throwaway detail, but it's there. It's something. Excuse me. So let's move on to the next point here. Paraphone Palace is based on the Palace of Palace of Versailles. God, I really need to learn pronunciation of these words in France. Versailles was the capital of France between 1682 and 1789. Fun fact, I didn't write this down here, but Napoleon Bonaparte, when he became the Emperor of France, made it his summer vacation home, or summer home, which was really weird tidbit of history, which is very strange, but that's not important. This one is. Superior is based on Lady Oscar from the manga Rose of Versailles. The same Versailles that's real, it was part of the French Revolution. It was during and after. This building was built by Louis, the number that I can't remember. Or it was commissioned by one of them during the French Revolution, or after, during, or anyway, so why am I bringing this up? We all know that this is based on this, right? Well, right here. I didn't notice this at all until I was just looking very closely in my game. On the gates of Paraphone Palace are freaking superiors. What? I never realized this. Maybe I realized this as a kid and I didn't even realize it. Maybe I just stored it in my brain, but it's a freaking superior on the gates of the thing this Pokemon is based on, and the palace is based on the Versailles Palace. It's like a full circle. Like, what? This almost definitely makes sense that Serperior will get a regional form in this game, or get some regional, or get some love in this game. That's another connection between Unova and Kalos that's pretty huge. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this right now. So that's, again, just, I think it looks exactly like Serperior, like here. I don't think anything is different. Some curves are a little bit different, but everything basically is the same. This one's smiling for some reason, and this one, its picture is not. Let's get that nice smile. There we go. A smirk. Oh, anyway, you get the point. So, very interesting thing there. I think I was gonna bring something up right over here. I don't remember what it was. It's probably fine. So anyway, here's another thing about another connection we can make between Liberty Garden and several buildings that are in Kalos. So they all have similar architecture, the ones I've pointed out, between Denmele Town, specifically the windmill, and this one with the architecture. This is Tower of Mastery, where the player receives a Mega Ring and Mega Lucario. And it's like where Mega Evolution was first recorded, I think, with a Mega Lucario. That one I don't remember, but it just so happens that each of these have almost identical architecture, which means these all might be connected. This is in Unova, these are both in Kalos. Very interesting. It could be nothing, it could just be a hint for Kalos when the games came out. It's probably nothing, but this is feasible. And in the Lumiose Museum, there's actually a painting or portrait or whatever of this windmill, and apparently they based their designs of this windmill on that picture. And it was designed by the person who made it was like a polymorph or the person who studies like a lot of things and is very smart. And it's alluding to like Leonardo da Vinci. This specific one, which is very interesting. The Vinci, Victini. It's a far stretch, but it could be a thing. But yeah, those are that. The architecture is very similar. Alright, so here's some interesting things about Victini that could be true and are true. So Victini's Pokedex number in the Unova region is 000, which is very interesting. It comes before every single Pokemon in that dex. It's next to freaking Arceus. Interesting, because Arceus is 434? No, 433. Victini is 3 numbers. Anyway, it's in the national dex. It's right next to Arceus, right after that. And this guy comes before even the starters, which is very interesting. Apparently yeah, anyway. So maybe it doesn't even belong in this region, and that makes it kind of, it makes sense that it has ties to Kalos. It's just kind of here. But also Victini could be based on the Statue of Liberty's porch, because it's found inside the lighthouse, which shines light, and Lighthouse on Liberty Island, the torch also represents freedom and liberty. So that's another thing. That the torch, because the torch represents liberty and stuff, and the light, is Victini. It's a lighthouse, shines light. Makes sense, it shines freedom and liberty! Braviary flies in and grasps a burger? America, whatever. But another interesting little thing about Victini is that Mana Ebe is the artist who designed Victini. She has worked with Game Freak on every mainline game except, I think, Pokemon Legends Arceus since. However, in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Mana Ebe was the lead art director, which is very interesting. The person who made Victini, or designed it, was the freaking lead in freaking the art director in Scarlet and Violet. She came a long way. That's really cool. She was like a 3D artist in like all the other games, but she like climbed to the top and boom, art director, baby. And I like some of the art and concepts they made in this game. in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so... Anyway, so here's another interesting one. Along with Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde, Victini was unobtainable and untransferable in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, this could be nothing, but Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde, you couldn't transfer them or capture them in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You could do almost every single other legendary except these guys. And then they just so happened to release Pokemon Legends Arceus, or Pokemon Legends Z-A trailer, so out of the blue on Pokemon Day. So Victini was also left out of the mix. I think probably a few others, but Victini for this argument is substantial because it might have connections to Pokemon Legends Z-A, like I've mentioned before. Also, Victini creates infinite energy inside of its body, which it shares with those who touch it. So it creates energy inside of its body, like energizes itself, and then touches you, or you can touch it, and you just get invigorated and strength and gusto inside of you, which is interesting. It could be related. This infinite energy could be related to infinity energy, although they're technically two different concepts. Infinite energy is just having infinite energy, and infinity energy is an actual thing in the Pokemon universe. But they could be connected, who knows. I thought that was an interesting thing about him, and it usually some of the other Pokédexes say that whoever has Victini in their party is always victorious, and that's not always true, But the final little tidbit here is Victini was the first Fire and Psychic type Pokemon. The next one was Zenmo Darmanitan, and that's also in the Unova region, and that was its Gen 5 was the pioneer and creator of hidden abilities, which is everyone's bane or exciting feature that they added into the game. And that, when you transformed from Fire to Fire Psychic, that's the second one, and then the third one was Delphox, which was in Gen 6. Maybe, I don't know, Victini will be a Fire Fairy type, maybe get a regional form in this new game, who knows. So that's an interesting tidbit. So we're getting to the end here. So what form will Victini have in Pokemon Legends Z-A? Well, I believe that Victini will get a Mega Evolution in Pokemon Legends Z-A. Makes the most sense, right? I don't know if they'd give it a regional form or a regional variant, like Ursaluna. It's got a badass scar on its face and it plays heavy metal. No, I don't think it's going to have like a regional variant or whatever they're called. It could have a Mega Evolution. Liberty Garden, where you find Victini, shares similar architecture with several buildings in Kalos, including the Tower of Mastery, where the players get the Mega Ring in Pokemon X and Y. So, yeah, Mega, you get the Mega Ring there, the buildings share in similar architecture, which is very interesting. Also, Victini creates infinite energy within its body, which could be related to infinity energy, the cause of Mega Evolution. Again, creates infinite energy, kind of like with the Rayquaza, with its Mikaido organ, or Emperor organ. It eats meteors and creates that energy, and Victini maybe just makes infinity energy in its body, and that's how it energizes things. Maybe it can make other Pokemon Mega Evolve. Just boop! Oh, Mega Charge! Mega Charizard, so that'd be cool. Or to leave off of. Maybe Victini lived with the rich family when they bought Liberty Island 200 years ago. Perhaps they originally lived in Kalos and brought Victini with them. That could make sense. It was bought by a rich family 200 years ago, and then the king of Kalos, I guess I'll get into that. They could have lived in, maybe when we're making Lumina City, and oh man, this place is awesome, I'm gonna share that with Unova, and then come along Victini, or something like that. That makes sense. But the kings, or the rich family, could also be related to the King of Kalos and AZ. This would most likely be a post-game side quest similar to Enamorous and Pokemon Legends Z-A. So it's probably not going to be the forefront main plot of the game. It's probably going to be like a side thing. Maybe it won't even be a Mega. Maybe it'll be like another Victini. Maybe it'll be the L. L Pokemon. Oh my god, the Elini. He always loses. He sucks the energy out of you. That would be funny if they did that. They're not gonna do that. But yes, those are my thoughts and predictions on why I think Victini will be in Pokemon Legends Z-A. We literally have no information about the game other than it exists and it's in the Kalos region. And it's in Lumio City specifically, and it's a redevelopment plan, so there's not a lot of information. All we can do is just make a lot of stretches that are just kind of just like taut in the middle, and it's, you know, probably gonna snap a few of them, but you know, it's all fun and games, speculation. It's fun to theorize and see what we do and don't get right. But I hope you guys agreed with me. This, to me, makes sense in my head. I think I probably forgot a few things here and there, but it's fine. You probably get the gist. Maybe you can search for more information that I left out or forgot to mention. But yes, the video has been quite long, and yeah, thank you for watching. So thank you so much for watching at the end of this video. It means a lot to me. If you want to support me, you can do so by subscribing. It would help me out a great deal and lets you know when my next upload is. So thank you so much for watching. See ya. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.